The F-15s screamed across the dawn, their afterburners tearing the sky apart like a wound. Below, the desert stretched endless, a canvas of gold and shadow where secrets hid in the dunes. Captain Amara Viper Cade, callsign earned through grit and guile, flew lead in her weathered F-15 E-Strike Eagle. Her canopy lights flickered, an odd, rhythmic pulse. She squinted, heart quickening, Morse code, old Morse, from her jet. But how? No one used that archaic signal anymore, not since the last war's ghosts faded. Her radio crackled with static, then silence, as if the sky itself held its breath. She checked her instruments. Nothing explained the blinking. Her wingman, Lieutenant Razor Tate, hadn't noticed. Yet. Amara's fingers tightened on the stick. She was 38, a veteran of too many missions to count, her dark eyes sharp beneath her visor. Her squadron called her the old lady behind her back, mocking her insistence on analog backups and her scarred jet nicknamed Ghost. She'd flown it through Fallujah, Kandahar, and unlisted ops the Pentagon buried. The jet was her shadow, its dents her diary. Now it was talking to her, in Morse. SOS, her pulse spiked. Was it a glitch, sabotage, or something older, tied to the jet's history? A history she'd never fully uncovered. The mission was routine: escort a recon drone over contested airspace. But the blinking lights screamed trouble. Amara's gut churned. She'd learned to trust Ghost's quirks like a soldier trusts a battered rifle. The code looped again. SOS. She scanned the horizon. Nothing but heat haze and the glint of her squadron's jets. Razor's voice broke through. Viper, you seeing this? Bogies, 2 o'clock, closing fast. Her radar pinged. Hostile contacts, unidentified. The lights blinked faster now, insistent. Amara's mind raced. Was Ghost warning her? She toggled her comms, voice steady despite the chill in her spine. Razor, form up, stay sharp. The bogies were MiG-29s, sleek and predatory, their red star insignias catching the sun. Amara's squadron, the 101st Wraiths, had trained for this, but the odds felt wrong. 4 F-15s against 6 MiGs. Her HUD screamed lock-ons. The Morse pulsed. DANGER, her breath caught. No one knew Ghost's full story, only that it had been retired, then recommissioned after a classified incident. Amara had found it in a boneyard, its canopy scarred like a soldier's face. She demanded it as her own, drawn to its defiance. Now it was speaking, and she was listening. Wraiths engage, she ordered, voice like steel. The sky erupted into chaos, missiles streaking, contrails twisting. Amara rolled Ghost hard, dodging a missile's heat seeker. The lights blinked again. TRUST, trust what? The jet herself. The mystery deepened as the dogfight spiraled, and Amara realized this was no ordinary mission. Something or someone was reaching out through Ghost, and she was about to find out who. The dogfight was a symphony of chaos, jet engines roaring like primal beasts. Amara yanked Ghost into a high-G barrel roll, her vision graying at the edges as a MiG's missile screamed past, its exhaust a fleeting comet in her peripheral. The canopy lights blinked relentlessly, trust in time with her pounding heart. She didn't understand, but she felt it. Ghost wasn't just metal and circuits. It was alive, somehow, tethered to her through years of shared scars. She'd always trusted it more than the polished jets her peers flew. Now, it was proving why. Viper, brake left. Razor's voice crackled, urgent. A MiG had locked onto her six, its radar painting her HUD red. She jinked hard, Ghost's airframe groaning but holding. The MiG overshot and she snapped into a tight climb, losing a sidewinder. The missile found its mark, blooming fire across the sky. One down, 5 to go. Her squadron was outnumbered, but Amara's mind was sharp, calculating. She'd flown worse odds in Syria, where a SAM had kissed Ghost's wing, leaving a scar she'd never repaired. It was a badge like her own. "Wraith 2, cover my 3 o'clock," she barked, her voice calm despite the sweat beading under her helmet. Razor complied, his F-15 banking to intercept another MiG. The radio buzzed with clipped updates. Fox 3, Bandit splashed. But the Morse kept pulsing, now spelling PAST past what? Her past. The jets. Amara's childhood flashed, her father, a mechanic, teaching her Morse on an old radio set in their Nevada garage. She'd joined the Air Force to escape his shadow, only to find her own in Ghost. The MiGs were relentless, their pilots skilled, weaving through the Wraith's formation like wolves. Amara's radar screamed again, 2 bandits on her tail. She dove, skimming the desert so close the sand blurred beneath her. Ghost's engines roared, faithful. The lights blinked, CAPTAIN, her breath hitched. No one in the squadron knew her jet's history, not fully. She'd heard whispers. Ghost had belonged to a captain, lost in a black op, never recovered. Was this him, her, reaching out? She pulled up, G-forces crushing her chest, and rolled into a split-S. Shaking one MiG, the second stayed glued, its cannon fire stitching the sky. "Viper, you're hot," Razor shouted. She didn't answer, focused on the blinking, FIGHT, trust, past, captain, fight. The words wove a story she couldn't yet read. She fired chaff, silver clouds blooming behind her, and banked hard. The MiG missed, but another was closing. Amara's eyes flicked to the Canopy lights, her only ally in this storm. Whatever Ghost was saying, it wasn't done, and neither was she. The desert blurred beneath Ghost as Amara pushed the throttles to their stops, the F-15's engines screaming defiance. The MiG on her 6 was relentless, its pilot matching her every jink and roll. Her Canopy lights pulsed. FIGHT, she gritted her teeth, jaw tight under her oxygen mask. The Wraiths were holding, but barely. Razor had splashed another MiG, but Wraith 3, Lieutenant Hawk Ellis, was taking heat. "Hawk, dive low, use the terrain," Amara snapped over the comms, her voice a blade cutting through the chaos. She banked hard, Ghost's wings flexing under the strain, and caught a glimpse of the MiG's red star glinting like a predator's eye. The Morse shifted, help who, her, the squadron, or someone long gone tied to Ghost's soul. Amara's mind raced. She dug into Ghost's records once after she claimed it. The paper trail ended in 2003, a classified op over the Persian Gulf. The pilot, a Captain Vance, had vanished. No body, no wreck. Just rumors of a mission gone wrong, and Ghost mothballed until Amara found it. Viper, two bandits high at 4 o'clock. Razor's warning yanked her back. She glanced up, spotting the MiGs diving like hawks. Her HUD screamed missile lock. She rolled Ghost into a corkscrew, chaff bursting in glittering clouds. The missile veered off, but the MiGs pressed closer, their cannons spitting fire. Amara's training kicked in, years of dogfights, night missions, and close calls. She was no rookie, despite the squadron's jabs about her old lady instincts. They didn't know she'd flown Ghost through a sandstorm to save a pinned-down SEAL team, or that she'd landed it on a carrier with one engine out. The lights blinked, VANC, her heart stopped. Captain Vance, the name from the files. Was Ghost channeling him, her? She shook it off. Focus, Amara. She pulled a high-G climb, the world spinning, and loosed a missile at the lead MiG. It erupted in a fireball, debris raining over the desert. Splash one, she reported, voice steady but mind reeling. The Morse pulsed. SAV, save what? The mission. The jet herself. Wraith 4 status, she called. No answer. Her stomach sank. Wraith 4 Ensign Kid Patel was silent. She scanned the sky, spotting his jet trailing smoke. Kid, eject, she shouted, but the radio stayed dead. The MiGs were circling now, sensing blood. Amara's eyes flicked to the blinking lights, her only constant in this storm. SAV, she didn't know how, but she'd try, for Kid, for Ghost, for Vance, whoever they were. She rolled Ghost toward the fray, ready to fight until the sky itself broke. Kid's parachute drifted like a white ghost against the amber sky, a fragile promise of survival. Amara's relief was fleeting. 2 MiGs were still hunting, their red stars glinting with menace. Ghost's canopy lights pulsed. HOP, her jaw tightened. Hope wasn't enough, she needed to end this. The Wraiths were battered, their formation fraying like an old rope. Razor and Hawk were fighting hard, but the MiGs were relentless, their pilots exploiting every mistake. Amara's eyes flicked to her fuel gauge. Low, but Ghost had never failed her, even on fumes. Razor, Hawk, tighten up. We're taking these bastards down, she said, her voice a low growl over the comms. She climbed, Ghost's engine straining, the Morse shifting, LEAD lead. She'd always led, even when the squadron snickered at her outdated jet and her old-school tactics. They didn't know she'd memorized every rivet on Ghost, every quirk of its ancient systems. They didn't know about the nights she'd spent tracing its scars, wondering about Captain Vance, the pilot who'd vanished with it. The MiGs split, one diving, one climbing. Amara anticipated it. She'd seen this tactic in Iraq, where she'd outmaneuvered a pair of Sukhwa. Hawk, take the low bandit. Razor with me, she ordered. She banked Ghost hard, chasing the climbing MiG. Its pilot was good, rolling through her missile lock. The lights blinked. PATINC, she exhaled, steadying her aim. Patience had saved her before, waiting out a sandstorm, outlasting a SAM lock. She fired a sidewinder, the missile streaking true. The MiG erupted, a fireball painting the sky. "Bandit splashed," she reported, voice flat but heart racing. The last MiG was on Razor now, its cannons blazing. Razor jinked, but his jet was sluggish, damaged. Amara Dove, Ghost screaming as she closed the gap. The Morse pulsed, PROTECT, she didn't need the prompt. Razor was her wingman, her responsibility. She fired chaff, drawing the MiG's attention. It took the bait, locking onto her. "Come on, you bastard," she muttered, rolling Ghost into a tight spiral. The desert spun below, a dizzying blur. The MiG's pilot was aggressive, too eager. Amara used it, luring him lower, closer to the dunes. Ghost's lights blinked. NOW, she pulled up sharply, G-forces crushing her chest. The MiG couldn't follow, skimming too close to a dune. It clipped the sand, cartwheeling in a fiery wreck. "Splash one," Amara said, her voice steady despite the adrenaline. The sky was quiet now, save for the distant thrum of Razor's jet. She glanced at the canopy lights, still blinking. WELLDONE, a chill ran through her. Ghost, or Vance, was proud, and so was she. The sky cleared, a vast canvas of blue streaked with fading contrails. Amara leveled Ghost, her hand steady on the stick despite the ache in her shoulders. The canopy lights pulsed softly. WELLDONE, she exhaled, the weight of the fight settling into her bones. Kid's parachute had been spotted by a rescue chopper. He was alive, rattled but breathing. Razor and Hawk were limping back to base, their jets scarred but functional. The Wraiths had survived, but the cost was heavy. Wraith 4's jet was lost, and Amara's fuel was critically low. "Viper, you good?" Razor's voice crackled, laced with concern. She glanced at her wingman's jet, its left wing pocked with cannon holes. "Still flying," she replied, her tone dry but warm. Razor chuckled, a sound that eased the tension. The squadron's mockery had faded in the heat of battle. They'd seen her pull them through. Amara's eyes flicked to the lights. Home. The word hit harder than she expected. For her, home wasn't a place. It was Ghost, this battered jet that had carried her through a decade of wars. She checked her bearings, the desert sprawling beneath like a map of her past. Amara had grown up in Nevada's dust, her father's grease-stained hands teaching her to wrench engines before she could drive. She joined the Air Force to escape his expectations, only to find her own in the cockpit. Ghost had been her partner since she'd found it in a boneyard, its faded insignia calling to her. The Morse, HOME, felt like a nod to that choice, to the jet that had become her sanctuary. "Wraiths RTB," she ordered, voice firm, "return to base." The radio buzzed with affirmatives, but her mind lingered on the lights. Captain Vance. The name haunted her. She pieced together fragments. Vance had been a legend, a pilot who'd flown Black Ops, vanished in 3. Ghost had been mothballed after, its record sealed. Had Vance programmed the lights? Left a message in the wiring. Amara didn't believe in ghosts, but she felt something, pride, maybe, or gratitude, emanating from the jet. The horizon glowed, the sun climbing higher. Ghost's engines hummed, steady despite the low fuel warning. Amara patted the console, a habit from her early days. "You did good, old girl," she murmured. The lights blinked, THANKS her breath caught. Was it Vance or just Ghost, alive in its own way? She didn't know, but she trusted it. The base appeared, a speck of concrete in the desert. Amara lined up for landing, her heart heavy with questions but light with survival. The wraiths were safe. A ghost had spoken, and she was listening.